What's up, YouTube? It's your girl DeeDee. Welcome and welcome back to the channel. So I am back with another reaction video. Now this comes from this tragic story, and I know you guys have already probably heard of this story of this woman being stabbed on the train. You guys, this story was just horrible in so many ways. Listen, we're gonna get into it, but before we do, make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you like the content, share and like the video, and hit that notification bell to be notified when I upload new content. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it, you guys. Make sure you chime in the comments below.
Charges against DeClaros Brown Jr. He's accused of last month's murder of Irina Sharutska in an unprovoked attack inside a light rail car. North Carolina has also charged Brown with first-degree murder. ABC Justice Department reporter Alex Mallon is here with more on that. So, Alex, what's the latest in this case?
Well, we know that this federal complaint was unsealed yesterday, charging DeCarlos Brown. And in that document, they detail what we saw in that horrific video, how after Irina entered the train, she sat down for about 4 minutes, and then DeCarlos Brown allegedly got up and stabbed her in the neck 4 times.
Now, this is a Ukrainian woman. She was 23 years old, you guys, and they're saying that this guy was a deranged homeless man who was charged with her stabbing, but he was deranged. They say he was homeless. A lot of people say that he's also had an extensive criminal background, and also he could have been, mentally disabled or something like that. Mentally, and he had some mental issues, I'll say. And so, yeah, I want to speak more on that, but let's go ahead and get back into the video.
That horrific video of him walking away, dripping down from his hands onto the ground. Obviously, the Justice Department getting involved here after he was charged at the state level. This really kind of shows how the Justice Department believes that this needs to be elevated to the national consciousness. We've heard over and over again, President Trump, the White House yesterday, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, really elevate this case. They are trying to make this as an example of democratic governance in big cities and lax crime policies, in their words. And that's, I think, what we're going to see. They're going to have to return an indictment now against DeCarlos Brown. So that's really the next step that we're going to see in his federal case, Diane.
So what does it mean for him now to be facing both state charges and federal charges?
Well, this federal charge is actually very interesting. It was created under the Patriot Act in the wake of 9/11. It's very unusual for the Justice Department to bring this, but obviously it is penalty eligible. So if he is convicted of this charge, Attorney General Pamela Bondi has said that she urged federal prosecutors in his case to seek the maximum penalty if he is convicted. So we'll see these cases play out. Usually federal cases play out in a more slow fashion than state cases. So you'll likely see the state case go first to trial, and then if he does not plead out in this case, that will happen similar to his federal trial.
Now, this is a glimpse of his run-ins with the law. So he has, he's been arrested 14 times, they're saying. Now, the part that kind of glimpsed across the screen was the fact that his mother stated that he has schizophrenia. And you could see him when he was on the train, he was kind of like, you could see something was not quite right. And even the mother stated that he has schizophrenia and he should have never been released to the public. So each one of these times that he's been charged in some type of crime, he was released and still able to roam the streets, which kind of led to this situation with this young woman being stabbed in her neck 4 times. And that's where I have an issue with the system, where I think when you come across a person that is constantly coming into your jail for different things, and also the mother even stated that he is schizophrenic, that these types of people there should be some type of place where you can put these people and not just keep releasing them, but put them in an institution or somewhere where they can be held and maybe, looked at or evaluated or whatever for the issues that they have. Because a lot of times people are, have different illnesses or different issues, psychological, mental issues. And that is part of the reason why they keep committing these types of crimes. Now, it's one thing when you have hardcore criminals who are on the street, who are just committing crimes because they like committing crimes. That's one thing. But when you have somebody that's mentally unstable, that could be looked at for another reason. And now I'm not justifying the fact that he did that, but you could clearly see that something is wrong with this man. And the fact that they keep putting him back out on the street, is a big problem. He should not be just walking the street. He should have been in a position where he's being monitored at all times, or just being cared for in a way so that he does not hurt himself or others. That's just all I'm saying. But this was horrible. Now, this is another thing that I saw as well. So they're talking about the judge, who is Magistrate Judge Teresa Stokes, is one of the judges who freed DeCarlos Brown Jr., who is a 14-time criminal who went on to butcher Irina Zarutska. Now, once again, they're saying that he's a 14-time criminal, but they're not specifying that the man, the mother said that he has schizophrenia, which would, you know what I'm saying? Which would point to why he's constantly being arrested and getting into trouble. That could be a part of it, that the man is schizophrenic. So they're saying that Stoke is also listed as the director of operations at Second Chance Services, which is a Charlotte clinic for mental health and addiction. So he was in a clinic for mental health issues and addiction. And they're saying that is not just a side job. It is a built-in conflict of interest. So a lot of people don't agree with this place where it gives these types of people second chances. But the courts, they're saying the courts feed violent offenders into programs that people like Stokes help to run. They're saying the softer the judge, the fuller the clinic. It creates an incentive to release dangerous criminals back into the public because their failures become business. When the same judge who decides whether a career criminal stays in prison also profits from the industry of rehabilitation, justice no longer exists. It becomes a racket. So I think they were calling to have her face some types of charges for allowing these types of people to go free back on the streets. But once again, they're strictly classifying him as just a straight criminal. And even though he was in a clinic for mental health, for people who have mental health issues and addiction, they're not focusing on the mental health aspect of it. They're just focusing on the fact that he is a 14-time criminal. But you gotta also look at the fact that he constantly is going to jail has everything to do with his mental state. So something has to be done. But I'm thinking, listen, once again, are there any resources that would allow for these people to have places to stay, or to have them in a facility where they're not, causing any harm to people on the streets? So I don't know, but there's something, there should be something set up for people who have these mental issues, but I don't think that there is. And it probably would cost money. And that's probably why they keep releasing them. And then he keeps coming back until it gets to a point where you actually take somebody's life, which is unfortunate. So, yeah, that's crazy.
Caroline Levitt went on to say that cashless bail is a, quote, failed experiment. And we all heard it. She took the media to task, essentially saying they refused to cover the story because it didn't fit their, quote, preferred narrative, and said the media had a whole lot of ink to spill when it came to Daniel Penny and his arrest on that New York City subway. So she felt this case was not in the national spotlight enough. But Sandra, now I understand we're hearing from the president himself with some new reaction to all of it.
Far too long, Americans have been forced to put up with Democrat-run cities that set loose savage, bloodthirsty criminals to prey on innocent people. Really very, very innocent people. In every place, they control radical left judges, politicians, and activists, and they've adopted a policy of catch and release for thugs and in Charlotte, North Carolina, we saw the results of these policies when a 23-year-old woman who came here from Ukraine met her bloody end on a public train. And here's a picture of it. This is the picture of it. And this is a picture of the woman, a beautiful young girl that never had problems in life, with a magnificent future in this country. And now she's dead. She was slaughtered by a deranged monster who was roaming free after 14 prior arrests. We cannot allow a depraved criminal element of violent repeat offenders to continue spreading destruction and death throughout our country. We have to respond with force and strength. We have to be vicious just like they are. It's the only thing they understand. 24 of the top 25 most dangerous cities in America are run by Democrat mayors. 50 people were murdered in Chicago in recent weeks, with hundreds being shot. And it's time to stop this madness. The people of our country need to insist on protection, safety, law, and order. We have proven that it can be done because we did it right here in D.C., in District of Columbia. The capital of America was a bloodthirsty, horrible, dangerous place, one of the worst. And now it's a crime-free city, and we're going to keep it that way. It can be done. It can happen fast. All we want is, please, Mr. President, we need help. Chicago needs help. Other cities need help. We'll do what has to be done because we're going to make America safe again. And that includes our big cities. We're going to make those cities safe.
All right. So that's what Donald Trump had to say on the situation. Listen, what do you guys think about this? This is another situation of a woman who did not have to be taken away. She was so young. She wasn't bothering anybody. She wasn't doing anything wrong. Yet her life was taken. So this is unfortunate, you guys. Y'all chime in. Let me know your thoughts on this whole situation. Have you heard about it? I want to know your thoughts. Chime in the comments below. Comment, like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, y'all. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye.